Well, how about that? If you didn't see it, you might not believe it. The Pittsburgh Penguins beat the Detroit Red Wings 4-1 here at Little Caesars Arena. Hi, I'm Dan Kingerski on the Pittsburgh Hockey Now platforms. No, that's not the extraordinary part that you might not believe. The Penguins actually haven't won a few games before. Allowing just 12 shots in regulation. The Penguins haven't done that on the road, well, ever. That was a franchise historic mark. They allowed 13 shots back in 1997 against the Phoenix Coyotes, and back in 1969, they allowed 13 shots in a road game, but never before had they allowed only 12. So let's get really into exactly what the Penguins did, what is different, what is changing, because this was an entirely different performance for the Penguins on Saturday. There was not the hesitation. There was not the tepid play with a lead in the third period. Rather, they attacked. And that sort of followed through on the game they played, especially in the first 30 minutes or so, where they attacked in the defensive zone as well. Wherever there was a puck, a Penguins defender was contesting it. They didn't get out of sorts. They didn't get over-aggressive. Rather, they always kept position, but then took away all the space and time. They played gaps that were minuscule. It was as tight of a man-to-man defense as you're ever going to see in an NHL game, and the Penguins did it without fear. They really just got after Detroit. Make no mistake, Detroit wasn't flat. The Red Wings actually had more scoring chances in the first period than did the Penguins, like 9-5, 9-6. They actually had more high-danger chances in the first period than did the Penguins by an awkward score of 4-0. I'm not sure how Igor Chinakov's breakaway was not a high-danger chance, or Brian Rust's wrist shot from inside the dot wasn't a high-danger chance, according to Natural Stat Trick, but they didn't count. Detroit had the 4-0 high-danger advantage. By the way, that Chinakov breakaway and the Rust wrister were the Penguins' goals, and they led 2-0. Detroit didn't get their first shot of the game until after 13 minutes had elapsed. 13:04, James Van Riemsdyk got Detroit's first shot on goal. After 40 minutes, the Penguins were out shooting them 19-9, and wait for it. In the third period, with a perilous 2-1 lead, the Penguins outshot Detroit 12-3. Dan Muse was in a pretty good mood after the game, as you might imagine. Somebody asked him, from a coaching standpoint, what's it like when your goalie's getting so few shots? He's like, hey, from a coaching standpoint, I don't mind. Stuart Skinner said it is tough sometimes to really, stay in those games, and those can be the most difficult when you face so few shots. But he remained sharp. Detroit, perhaps he remained sharp because Detroit didn't pull back and surrender. It was just that the Penguins so thoroughly contested every single inch of the ice, from that end wall to that end wall, and everything in between, that Detroit couldn't get between the dots. If they did, there were plenty of oh-so-close and almost moments for Detroit, but there was always at least one Penguin's stick, one Penguin's body to take away that great shot so that it really didn't get to Skinner. Or what I saw happen a lot in the first period, maybe you kind of thought Detroit was misfiring, or Detroit hit the glass or missed the net quite a few times in the first period, but it was because the Penguins hurried them, pressured them. They didn't have the time and space to get a good rip on Skinner. So that's sort of the broad outline of the 4-1 win. By the way, that was the Penguins' fourth win in a row. They now have the seventh best winning percentage in the Eastern Conference, third best winning percentage in the Metro Division. But you don't come here for facts and you're like, Kingerski, drop the stats. Tell me what happened. Really, there has been a change from then to now. where the Penguins got mad. They got mad at themselves. They essentially, to quote Network News, or what's the Oscar-winning movie from the 70s, they got mad as hell, and they weren't going to take it anymore. And they got mad as hell at themselves. So what they really did, and you've noticed this over the last several games in which they've had a third period lead, they weren't trying to sit in the shell before. By the way, for everybody who's, you got to play in the shell, you have to play defensive with the lead. Look, there is a very not fine line between continuing to play, but playing smartly, and what is bad in playing too defensively with a lead. The Penguins continued to be aggressive. They continued to dominate the puck in the third period, ultimately leading to Rickard Rakell and Connor Duer's empty net goals. But there was no thought to sit back. And that's the biggest change, is the mindset. Real simple. Between the ears for the Penguins. It's not as if Dan Muse has changed the scheme. It's not as if they're playing differently in terms of tactically. They're simply playing differently because they want to. Different mindset, more aggressive, but also smart. I don't think there was a single moment in the third period in which I saw one of the F3s, a high forward, get caught down low, get caught, where they have to chase back. I don't think in the third period I saw any of the Penguins defensemen get caught down low or trying to be or do too much. With some irony, the defenseman who had a couple of rush chances in the third period was Brett Kulak. Didn't have that on your bingo card, did you? So the Penguins, with 4 wins in a row now, kind of starting to churn. They're getting that momentum. I am in the back. They're actually setting up for the PWHL game here at Little Caesars Arena. So got chased out of here into the hallway because they're blasting music. And if you're playing music, well, YouTube doesn't like that so much. Where were we when I had to explain all of that? Asking Stuart Skinner, if the team is finding its rhythm. That's where we were. Asking Stuart Skinner, finding your rhythm. He's like, yeah, listen, everybody is going right now. And from my perspective, it's kind of fun to watch, is what he said. And I think that was fair. All 4 Penguins lines just rolling today with absolute, precision, playing their best game. I mean, there were a couple of players who could have been better, but, I mean, we're going to split hairs, or I'm not going to split hairs anyway today. Igor Chinnikov played a really good game, building on what you saw in his first game Thursday. Boy, can he skate. And that wrist shot. I wouldn't want to be a goalie facing that wrister. He's off to a pretty good start with the Penguins. And he gets his homecoming Sunday against Columbus. That should be a little bit of an emotional or awkward game for him. I don't know if you're into the betting side of things. I probably would anticipate him having a pretty big game. Guys, see what you missed out on? It'll be one of those sorts of games. He and Kindle really had some connectivity. Sidney Crosby dominated. The Crosby line absolutely dominated the Dylan Larkin line. Todd McClellan changing up his top line, trying to find something. But in reality, Crosby just took away Dylan Larkin. Olympics. And the only Larkin chance really was a tip on a second period power play. Otherwise, it was all Rickard Rakell, who had 6 shots on goal. Brian Rust had 5 shots on goal. That bum Crosby only had 1 shot. Yeah, it was that kind of day. So I am off to Columbus. We're making the drive. I got my White Castle Friday night. I'm not sure if I'll need it on Sunday. Nah, who am I kidding? I can never have too much of that oniony goodness. So do me a favor, like, subscribe, comment. I'm always jumping into the chat with you. Hopefully the new mic held up. We'll find out together. And we'll do this again after Columbus as the Penguins go for 5 straight. And they will be at Columbus on Sunday afternoon. 3 o'clock start, although these afternoon games, you're never quite sure when they actually start. Like today was a 12 o'clock game that didn't face off till pretty close to 12:20. TV, don't you know? All right, in the meantime, kids, have fun.